So Goldman Sachs is raising their prediction for a recession under Trump. That's the subject of today's video, and these are the headlines. Goldman Sachs lifts U.S. recession probability to 35%. And let's jump into some of the details. It says the prospect of a radical escalation in global trade war, is what we're talking about here, in the coming days has nearly doubled the probability of recession in U.S. economy in the next 12 months to around 35%. That's coming from Goldman Sachs. Ahead of the Trump administration so-called Liberation Day on Tuesday. So I guess by raising tariffs and taxing low-income families a larger percentage of their income than upper income families, I guess that's being liberated according to Trump. It says here, which clarify the extent of U.S. tariff actions and spur likely reprisals in other countries. From Goldman Sachs also lifted its forecast for U.S. inflation this year. Great. Goldman said it now expects 3 interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve in 2025. We actually have a quote from them. You can get some more from Goldman. The upgrade from our previous 20% estimate, again, we're talking about recession in the next 12 months, so from 20 to 35%, reflects our lower growth baseline, right? So they're expecting the economy to grow less. Sharp recent deterioration in household and business confidence, right? So families don't feel confident about the future. Companies don't feel confident about the future. You talked about this stuff before several times on the channel. This is why you understand, because there are different ways to rate this stuff. Because basically, if families don't feel confident about the future, they're not going to be making big purchases, be it like a washer, be it a car. Maybe they're less likely to, want to buy a new home. Businesses feel less confident. Maybe they won't be hiring so much. Maybe they'll be doing the opposite. Maybe they'll be laying off. And then on top of that, you have Trump and Musk. Their goal is to, cut federal jobs. This is the environment that we're in. That's why Goldman would be saying these things. I'm just going through it with you guys. Also says, and statements from the White House officials indicating greater willingness to tolerate near-term economic weakness in pursuit of their policies. So Goldman's even saying, statements from the White House, stuff that Trump says and his people, they're willing to put the pain on you in order to do things that they want. They, meaning Trump and Musk, want to do their sovereign wealth fund. They want to build their crypto companies, their AI. They want to fire you, all these things. And hey, we're all going to feel pain so that Trump and Musk can get richer. So that's a nice way of what Goldman's saying, but I'm just kind of explaining what's going on here. Also says, while sentiment has been a poor predictor of activity over the last few years, we are less dismissive of the recent decline because economic fundamentals are not as strong as in prior years, right? Meaning that, when you look at the numbers of the economy, this kind of stuff, not only do you have Trump policies which look to be negative, things that Trump says looks to be negative, also the, economic fundamentals of the economy just don't look so great as well. And the question is, are we in a massive bubble and coming out of it? I would say yes. When will the bubble pop? What's the exact date? That's anyone's guess, but this is the kind of headlines that you get because markets are declining after Trump has gotten in. NASDAQ 100's worst quarter in years sealed by AI bubble fears, right? We talk about this a lot. Essentially, the market's been going up because everyone's betting that your chat GPTs and, those kind of things are going to make oodles of cash. But you have to understand, this is all dependent on, you got to invest a bunch of money in said technology. Then you got to hope that people come and show up to buy said technology. And then what are you going to do about all the people who lose their jobs to said technology if it even works? There's a lot of holes in this stuff. So companies did jump on board. You did see the markets, boom. However, this sort of is a great indicator of our bubble that we're in. There's a headline coming out today on April Fool's Day, but it is a real headline. SpaceX set to launch polar spaceflight funded by crypto investor. Just let that sink in. So we have the greatest con artist in history, that's Elon Musk, pushing his, spaceship thingies that want to go to Mars. Musk has said himself he wants to have a million people on a city on Mars. That's from Musk's own words. And then you're getting the money from people who are selling you crypto, which is basically fake monopoly digital casino money. That's our markets, guys. We're going to look back in history and just of course it was a bubble, right? And then the person who was president or co-president, whoever I want to say at the time, is Trump, who is a felon. I mean, how can it get any more crazier than it is now? And we're referring to when the tariffs kick in as Liberation Day. Like what kind of world do we live in? So the markets, they can read the BS. S&P 500 and NASDAQ and worst quarter since 2022 as new tariffs loom. You also have these kind of headlines. What to know about Trump's latest tariff policy moves. And they feel like over and over again, you have to explain to people that you, the consumer, are going to end up paying the tariffs. It is an important thing because Musk and Trump and all their buddies, they go on TV and they act like that you're going to get rich. I don't think so. No, you're going to pay taxes on this stuff. Basically, it is a regressive tax. And let me put it in the most simple terms I possibly can. Let's say, for example, the tariffs raise costs for the average American family, maybe $3,000 to $5,000 a year, something like that. That's some kind of numbers that I've heard tossed around. So in that regard, let's say it ends up costing you a couple $100 a month. For some families on the lower income, adding additional costs to food, cars, any number of things, homes, etc., repairs, a couple $100 a month will add up, and that will cost you a lot. That's a much greater percentage of your income. To someone like a Musk or Trump who's a billionaire, a couple $100 extra a month in tariff tax is nothing to them, right? And so it ends up being the Trump proposal, the Trump tariffs, not a proposal, it's going to happen. The Trump, quote, Liberation Day, it's a higher tax on poor people. Something that, in my opinion, like if you're going to raise taxes, because I actually have no problem with raising taxes, raising the cap, say, on what we tax for Social Security, I think that would be a good thing. Don't cap that. That would help out an enormous amount of people, or raise the taxes on assets of like someone like a Musk. For example, if you don't know, Musk doesn't take an income from Tesla, so he doesn't pay income tax like the rest of us. And then he just borrows loans based on a bunch of stock and stock options, that stuff, right? So they have like these loopholes that they play around in. And one way you could close that loophole is you say, hey, if you're gonna take out loans and live off said loans, you would tax the loans or tax the line of credits, right? Because it is an income, a form of income for Musk, but you're able to dodge said things. And this is something the Republicans try to do all the time. They'll say, hey, sales tax and tariffs are the most fair because everyone pays the same. Or they'll say, oh, well, we got to do flat tax on income and then everyone will pay the same. But if you understand how money works, it's not fair. Because, for example, let's say I'm a wealthy, real estate person and I have no income per se, but I have all of my properties that collect rent, right? And, I would say, oh, yeah, fair for income tax, fair. Does everyone pays the same income tax? But it's like, if you're the say landowner, you could set up your situation to you have no income, but you're collecting rent. And so the question would be, do we count, say, collecting rent as being income? Do we count, say, taking out loans on your assets as being income, et cetera? So there's a bunch of different situations to where our tax system isn't fair the way that it is, because it ends up, again, the way the Trumps and Musk want it is taxing a higher percentage of people's income for low income families. So I hope that's clear. I have to explain this over and over again, but I think it's really important to understand sort of how Trump and Musk are not out to help you. They're out to enrich their pockets, because their plan is to take this tariff money, put it in the sovereign wealth fund, and then refund their crypto AI spaceship projects, whatever stupid crap they want to do. And that's why I showed you this. This is like the top of our bubble here. SpaceX set to launch polar space flight funded by a crypto investor. If you haven't seen this movie already, I mentioned it from time to time. It's called The Apprentice. You should check it out. That's about the early years of Trump. It's actually quite interesting. Let's take a look more at what's going on here. Trump barrels forward with tariffs for dirty 15 trading partners. So I actually didn't know this. I didn't know, I guess inside the Trump White House, they're referring to countries they're going to put tariffs on as the like dirty 15. It's like 15% tariffs on 15 countries. So let's see if you made it in. For those watching around the world, are you part of the dirty 15? Where is he here? I have the list. Here it is. Okay, so this is the dirty 15, according to Trump Musk. It says, in a recent interview, Secretary Scott Bessent said 15% of U.S. trading partners, which he labeled the dirty 15, impose higher tariffs on foreign goods. Okay, so I guess this would be Brazil, Canada, China, the EU, which is a collection of countries, of course, India, Indonesia, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, South Africa, South Korea, that's where I live, Switzerland, Taiwan, Thailand, Turkey, and Vietnam. So I guess these are the trading partners of the USA that are considered the dirty 15. And, you can let me know in the comments if you fit into this. And if not, do you feel special or do you feel left out? I don't know. I'll just say this, guys. The markets don't really like these tariffs. That's why you're seeing things decline. That's why you're seeing Goldman cut forecasts on growth. That's why you're seeing forecasts on inflation going up. That's why you see confidence around the country and the world going down. That's where we're at. And then on top of that, Trump and Musk, they spend their time now. The latest target is attacking university funding. This just came out today. Trump administration reviews billions in federal funds at Harvard. Just recently, the Columbia University president stepped down. I think she was the interim president. They got a new person coming in now. It's a whole rigmarole. I'll address this. I'll just say it's an uncomfortable topic. And here's a headline from Guardian: Trump officials to review $9 billion in Harvard funds over anti-Semitism claims. So the basic idea is Trump and Musk, they want to limit ethnic studies at campuses, be it Middle Eastern studies, African studies, Asian studies, whatever, ethnic studies, that kind of stuff, right? And they're going to claim that all these universities are left-wing and they're all anti-Semitic. The problem with this kind of thinking, and I just want to be really clear on this stuff, is if I oppose killing people in Gaza, does that make me suddenly that I am against, all certain group of people, right? Am I anti-Semitic? And I think you can be a type of person is like, you know what? I don't want killing of any kind of person, and I don't condone any kind of violence. I think it's a reasonable stance to take. I've said this several times on the channel. My opinion on this stuff is I feel very sad of what's happened in Gaza and the amount of lives that have been lost. I think it's around 40,000, or it could be high. My number could be wrong, but I know it's quite a lot. It doesn't mean I don't feel sorry for the lives that were lost when Hamas, the terrorists, attacked people in Israel. I do. I want to make that really clear. And I understand as well that people were taken hostage, and I'm not condoning any of those kind of actions either. I don't condone any of this stuff. But it doesn't necessarily mean I don't want to encourage violence at all. And what disturbs me about this whole thing, because I'm a professor, is the way Trump must talk about education is a mislead people quite a bit. And it's, like I said, it's an uncomfortable conversation. Let me put it a different way. I have a friend who works in Hollywood and came on the channel a while ago. And for many people who work in Hollywood, and I can tell you, I used to work in Hollywood, and I have many friends I can see on they post the stuff they post on their social media. They'll take the stance that everyone who lives in Gaza are bad people, and if you question that, then you're just not a good person, kind of things. And it's very uncomfortable discussions on this kind of stuff. So I'll leave it at that. As you guys can see, it's like, I mean, and it's like, and you can probably figure out, like, I can't even really talk entirely freely on this stuff because, you don't want to be labeled in a certain kind of way. And it's hard to have honest discussions about these things. I see all people as being equal. If that's a crazy thing to say, you guys can let me know. And I also want to point this out. Very few people on YouTube are honest about any of these kind of conversations. Most people on YouTube are frankly actors. And they just tell you what they want to hear, or what you want to hear. I'm sorry. And the basic idea is that if you want to be popular on YouTube, just make people happy, make people feel that their side is winning, and your ratings and everything will soar. I want to give you an example, and I know that this is going to piss off a lot of people, but I want to tell you the truth in this stuff because it's just something that's been bothering me. So this is a popular channel on YouTube, is Brian Tyler Cohen. You guys probably know exactly who it is. The guy's an actor. He literally is an actor. You can just go to Wikipedia. So it says American progressive YouTuber, podcast host, author, political commentator, and actor. There's his IMDb right there, right? And these are the movies that he's been. He's an actor. And, if you want to go down that route, you can. If you want to over dramatize things, you can. For me, I just try to have honest conversations about this stuff. And I told you about the thorny issues regarding, how people talk about on campus and stuff like that. And I just today, I'll just give you an example. Just today, someone wrote a comment. Oh, Chris, why you have to be both sidism? Why you have to talk about both sides? It's like, because it's intellectually dishonest, in my opinion, to only talk about, one issue from one point of view and not give you a fuller picture. I come from the view of education, and I understand for some people say, Trump and Musk, they dislike what's being taught at Harvard or Columbia or whatever. From my experiences at university, yes, it is true that there are some professors who are way more left than me. Completely true. But in a university setting, the best professors, right? They assign all kinds of books, all kinds of books. Like I had to read all kinds of stuff, and I'm a big believer in education. Just have you read all kinds of stuff, lots of different points of view, and have honest conversations about things. I think it's disingenuous to the world, disingenuous to students, and disingenuous to you as a viewer to only paint half the story or whatever. And I read through all your comments every single day, and I hope you guys understand what we're trying to do in the community. I have my points of view, which I think are pretty fair when I point out the stuff going on with Trump and Musk, which has to be the topic these days because they're leading us down off a cliff. And you can't ignore it, right? That doesn't mean to say that I, would ever tell you that the Democrats are the most awesome people in all time, and I'm going to kiss all of their feet and everything they do is right. I think that's disingenuous. I don't do that. Do I like certain people over other people? Sure, of course I do. But it doesn't mean everyone or anyone is perfect out there. So I just want to really make that clear. And if you establish that you're a fair person and you evaluate things, which I try my best to do, then I think your voice carries more weight. That's just my opinion. But I understand there are people out there that say, no, I don't want someone to actually fairly evaluate economy or fairly evaluate markets or anything like that. I just want someone to be a cheerleader. And that's the most popular people on YouTube. So I hope you understand my point of view in this thing, why I talk about things differently than other people. And I'm not an actor. I'm not. I was actually a writer and a director, which is different, right? So I guess that you have a different perspective on things, depending on your experiences in life. And the other thing I want to mention is most people you'll see in YouTube or in media, that's been their whole career from college. I mean, they had a college radio station and worked all the way up, and et cetera. And it just had only ever done that. If you want to check out my book, you can. It's called Positive Angle. I've had a wide breadth of experience in multiple countries and just different point of view on stuff. And so I just want you guys to understand what's going on, and I want to do it in a way where we can hopefully share this experience together and make the world a better place. So that's my feelings on this. So I do appreciate your time, and I catch you on the next video.